Before we begin, allow me to paint you the full picture. Before the Age of Fire, there was the Age of the Ancients, a fixed era when seemingly immortal giant dragons dominated the world. In this rocky grey world, only a few archtrees grew here and there were multitudes of dragons on the surface with powerful scales called Scales of Immortality and fire-breathing capable of immense destruction. All other creatures were forced to take refuge underground. One day, fire appeared. The first flame was a spark that, to this very day, no one knows where it came from. Perhaps it was the work of the primordial serpents, but whatever it was, the world was about to change forever. The four lords, Nito, the Witch of Eyes Alith, and her daughters of Chaos, Gwyn the Lord of Sunlight, along with his knights and the furtive pygmy, all took on a particular lord's soul. After long preparation, it was time for war. Led by the all-powerful Gwyn, it was a battle for the ages. The Age of Fire versus the Age of the Ancients. The dragons didn't expect one of their own to betray them. A dragon named Seath, the Scaleless, who was rejected by his kind, revealed how to defeat the dragons to the lords. Lightning, illness, and devouring flames. After 1,000 years of war, the ancient dragons fell, and the Age of Fire had begun.
The story of dark souls, escaping the Asylum and exploring Lordran. There is one cell among so many others where an undead man lives. He is simply waiting for the end of his existence. Suddenly, a mysterious knight appears and drops a corpse onto the floor. Within the body is a key to the cell door. The start of the prophecy of the chosen undead begins. We meet the brave knight who freed the undead from his cell, an elite knight named Oscar of Astora, who unfortunately couldn't fulfill the prophecy of the undead. There isn't much time before Oscar turns hollow, so he quickly explains what needs to be done and hands over the Estus flasks. Travel to the lands of the gods on the back of a giant crow and ring both bells of awakening to become the new Lord of Cinder. Dropped off at the Firelink shrine, where some sane people remain, and one of the only peaceful places left. There are many paths the chosen undead can choose to go to begin his journey. The one to New Lundo and its indestructible phantoms, which seem too risky, or the path of the catacombs, full of giant skeletons that continuously revive, is no more reassuring. This leaves one path for this new warrior, which is to head to the undead burg. The Bells of Awakening. The kingdom of Lordran, which humans inhabit, has gone hollow, aggressive and uncontrollable, a glimpse into the future of what could happen to the chosen undead himself. Regaining his life thanks to humanity, he was able to find on a corpse hanging over a well. The chosen undead can now feel powerful. He wanders into Undead Burg and begins swinging his axe. Clearing the hollows out of the burg is somewhat of an easy task, as the chosen undead needed to ring the first bell of awakening. The belfry rises above the roofs of the Undead Burg and is defended by a group of gargoyles. But with the help of Solaire of Astora, they were both able to defeat the gargoyles and ring the first bell. Praise the sun. It was now time for the chosen undead to head underground, where the enemies are fiercer and more twisted than those on the surface. Blight Town is a poison, thick darkness, a swamp filled with countless traps and incurable curses. With a few swings of his weapon, the chosen undead reached Quela Domain, home to a witch of chaos and a daughter of the mythical Witch of Eyes Alith. Once the half-woman, half-spider was defeated, the chosen undead reached the second bell of awakening. With both bells rung, Sen's fortress was opened, and where the iron golem stood guard to protect the city of the gods. The King Seeker was awakened from his lethargy and went to the Firelink shrine to meet the worthy undead. The Lordvesse and the Lie of the Fire. Frampt instructs him on how to fulfill his destiny fully. Frampt presents himself as a friend of Lord Gwyn and tells us that our destiny is to link the fire, reject the dark, and put an end to the undead curse. To achieve this, we must go to Anor Londo and retrieve the Lordvesse. The city of the gods reveals the splendors. The sun pierces the scattered clouds with powerful rays, illuminating breathtaking Gothic architecture. All that ends with the not-so-friendly knights, specifically Gwyn's knights, who are not fond of handing over the Lord's vassal to just anyone. The captain of the guard, Dragonslayer Ornstein, one of the 4 personal knights of Gwyn, alongside Executioner Smaug, is tasked with defending the throne room. Once again, with Solaire on his side, they were both able to defeat Ornstein and Smaug, and now it was time for the Chosen One to meet Guinevere, daughter of Gwyn. Guinevere, a goddess of imposing size, proves to be kind and generous. To reward the chosen undead for his courage and fortitude, she grants him the Lordvesse. To the undead's surprise, Guinevere isn't there. It is revealed to be no more than an illusion, disappearing when the chosen undead makes any aggressive movements. Frampt's plan would have worked perfectly had the chosen undead been more gullible to the goddess, who was too friendly for the cruel world they inhabited. Guinevere was once truly in the city of the gods, but at the first sign of the decline of the fire, she and many others abandoned Anor Londo. With the fake Guinevere slain, the city is plunged into a gloomy twilight. Left in literal darkness, the chosen undead begins to think. With Frampt's prophecy being much of a mirage as a vile manipulation, another path is open to the undead. With discovering the truth at the forefront, the Chosen One reaches the flooded city of New Londo. Meeting with Ingward, guardian of the seal for centuries, notices the Chosen One has the Lordvesse and gives him the key to the seal, but not without warning about the Abyss. A place where the corrupted spirits of the 4 kings and the dark wraiths live who hunger for humanity. The chosen undead opens the floodgates to let the water out of the ruins, and with the ring of Artorias, the Abyss Walker begins his journey towards the Abyss. The 4 kings corrupted by the dark have been waiting at the bottom of the Abyss for centuries. After putting these human remains to eternal sleep, the Chosen One meets the second primordial serpent Darkstalker Cartha. Unlike Frampt, Carti asserts he is the one being truthful. His story begins with a revelation. The ancestor of the Chosen One, the Pygmy who owns the Dark Soul. While the other 3 lords rose against the dragons, the first human hid away, waiting for the Age of Fire to fade and thus making way for the Age of Dark. Carthi gives the Chosen One a new mission. Fill the Lordvesse with the most powerful souls of the region, the 4 kings, the traitor, Seath, along with 2 others, Nito and the Witch of Eyes, Alith. Gathering these souls will open the door to the kiln of the First Flame, where Lord Gwyn and his Black Knights live. The Chosen One is left with a serious dilemma. Comply with Frampt and his prophecy to succeed Gwyn and continue the Age of Fire, further centuries to come, or listen to Carter and push the world into the Age of Man and become the Dark Lord, fulfilling the ambition of the Pygmy, ancestor to all humans. The final choice. Once all the great souls are in possession and the Lordvesse has been filled, the doors open to the kiln of the First Flame. The area is large, but nothing is left but ruins and desolation. The knights appear as empty armor strewn around the place. At the end of the kiln, Gwyn awaits. Thinking back, Oscar, who was the chosen one liberator, could have been the one standing here had he not been defeated by the Asylum demon. Before entering the final battle, the warrior of sunlight appears again by our side, determined to see the very end. Solaire's existence remains shrouded in mystery, but with his help, effective but brief, brings to mind a guardian angel, serving the newly proclaimed hero. The fight with the Lord of Cinder proves much less difficult than expected. Gwyn has lost his power of old. He should stand tall, with the stature of a god, but he is hardly larger than a tall human. How is this possible? Or could he be a human who was previously manipulated by Frampt to become the new Lord of Cinder? Is it possible to imagine that for centuries now the fire has been lit by an unending line of humans, manipulated to link the fire by Frampt and his contemptible machinations, under the pretext of fulfilling a fictitious prophecy? While there is no confirming this theory, it does add a new perspective. If this was true, Gwyn has been dead for a long time, but the Keeper of the Fire is too small and weak to match the old Lord of Sunlight. He is quickly defeated, and the decision must be made. Become Lord of Cinder and allow the Age of Fire to continue, or embrace the destiny of the Dark Lord to end the cycle perpetuated by Frampt and begin the Age of Man.
The Lordvesse is satiated, magnificent. You are the righteous successor to Gwyn, the new great lord, and I am Kingseeker no more. Your acquaintance was an honor. I must admit, I am fond of you humans. May you enjoy serendipity, and may the Age of Fire perpetuate. Followed my teachings faithfully. You are the true Lord of Men, the Dark Lord. Now go forth and rid us of that enfeebled Gwyn. My path shall await you here.
The decision. The decision is not simply between two destinies. It goes further, however, in that the decision concerns the preservation of the current age, or the advent of a new one. The Chosen One now fights for the survival of his species and the dignity of those weaker than himself. The choice to become the Dark Lord seems more favourable. Linking the fire would only once again postpone the end of a bygone era until the next undead arrives, for the same ploy of being manipulated by Frampt. The cycle could go on forever, only pushing back the Age of Dark until one day, the chosen undead of the time decide to accept Carter's words and decide to end this fast cycle that has gone on for long enough. The story of Dark Souls 2, the origins of the Kingdom of Drangleic. King Vendrick reigned over the Kingdom of Drangleic with might, justice, and respect. His older brother, Aldia, preferred to focus his energy on science. He crafted excellent equipment that benefited everyone, especially the soldiers. The only missing piece was a queen and descendants, the final touch on the idyllic scene. One day, Nashandra emerged from the ocean. Her origin is mysterious, as her beauty was great, so she was able to charm the king who made her his wife. This was the moment the curse appeared. Nashandra is a fragment of Manus, father of the abyss. She was, therefore, simply a corrupted result of the Dark who was sent to the lands of Drangleic to meddle with the court. She wanted to obtain the fire, put it out, and spread the Dark. Humans began to lose faith and, in turn, became hollow, causing the kingdom to decline. Just like Gwyn and the Way of White did before Vendrick, he began to lock up the undead and hollow beings in cells while waiting for a cure, which he tasked Aldia to do. He tasked the pursuer to purge those with the dark sign by either executing them or imprisoning them. With the cells ever increasing with hollows, King Vendrick decided to send them to the Lost Bastille, an old fortress located offshore. With the help of pirates, they began to transfer hollows back and forth between the prison and No Man's Wharf. Even with these efforts, the curse was still spreading. The Queen mentioned a hidden treasure which was guarded by the giants who lived far across the ocean. According to Nashandra, the item in question would end the curse that was spreading throughout the kingdom, but the Queen had a more sinister reason for mentioning this idea. She wanted to gain the trust of the king and find a way to access the flame. With not a second to lose, the king and queen both set out to find this famous treasure, which they were able to successfully steal. What exactly was this treasure? To this day, no one knows, but it was enough to restore prosperity and trust in the kingdom. To her disappointment, Nashandra did not gain access to the flame, which was kept securely behind the solid doors of a small kiln called the Throne of Want. King Vendrick is the only one who had access, so the Dark Queen would have to come up with another plan to seek the flame. For the time being, the curse was lifted, but Drangleic was still heading for a decline. The decline of Drangleic. Vendrick used the power stolen from the giants to reinforce his castle by creating golems, forming a dissuasive defense. Aldia began to research this prize, but the peace was short-lived, as an army of rock colossi invaded the kingdom to take back the prize. With war raging on for many years, we learn from Captain Drummond that the war has been going on for 2 generations. King Vendrick's army was not prepared to face this type of enemy, and his army was decimated. The king has lost his faithful champion, Sir Cyan, and thus began to lose hope until an unknown hero appeared and started slaying the tenacious stone enemies one by one until they were able to reach the giant lord and put an end to the siege. With Drangleic saved from the threat of the giants and the few remaining ones are dying in total disgrace, Vendrick started to have doubts about his queen and the idea of this prize, since it led to a deadly war in his kingdom. Despite this, he never returned the item to the giants while there was a pile of bodies at his doorstep. From a powerful king to a cowardly one, Vendrick kept his distance from Queen Nashandra after this inglorious episode, and soon the Hollows would return. Aldia kept his pursuit on examining the prize from the giants while secluded in his manor. Stories began to spread throughout the kingdom about what Aldia was trying to create. Even though dragons had been gone for a millennium, Aldir was fascinated with their power and immortality, and with great effort, he was able to bring his dream to life. With his new fond creation, Aldir named it the Ancient Dragon, and took his place on top of the dragon shrine, and many new dragons were created in this place. The Ancient Dragon gave birth to, well, me, Shanalotta the Emerald Herald, a half-human, half-dragon being. It is said that I am the pinnacle of creation, a completely deprived being of willfulness and desire. It is said that my mission was to contain the curse and put an end to it. For me to complete this deed, I had to maintain the embers of the fire burning in Drangleic, which led me to be the last of the Firekeepers, hence why I keep the aged feather with me. The other bonfires through the kingdom in order to make sure the bonfires are taken care of and, if needed, rekindled. I know all four corners of Drangleic, and some even say I am the sole reason for the survival of the kingdom. The original flame wouldn't shine more brightly if it weren't for me. King Vendrick was the only one that has access to the fire, so I had to begin my search for someone capable of reaching the throne, linking the fire, thus fanning the original flame, just like Frampt wanted to happen a millennia ago. Vendrick started to catch on to exactly what his wife's ambitions were and how they posed a threat to the kingdom. She wanted to reach the kiln and gain access to the fire, so he fled the castle with his guardian Velstadt, which would be a fatal mistake. He put many obstacles in the way to prevent the Queen from following him, and from here, he had fully lost his sanity and had become hollow, officially ending his existence in the undead crypt. The Queen was enraged when she found out that the king had fled the castle, but she knew that someone would soon be powerful enough to overcome the obstacles the king had erected. Once this hero led her to the throne of want, she would decapitate him when he was no longer useful. A new hope. They call him the bearer of the curse. He was brought to things betwixt where he met 3 of the last Firekeepers, wrinkled and banished from the kingdom, which suggested that the flame is burning its last. Shortly after, he arrives in Majula, a beautiful village in ruins, perched on cliffs where the sun never sets. An abandoned mansion and a pit are off to the side, and some merchants and I live here. I was tasked with giving the Estus flask to the bearer of the curse and collecting the souls given to me. I had to explain that Drangleic was in dire need of a monarch, and to prove one's worthiness, one must collect the 4 great souls. Without hesitation, the bearer of the curse accepted this task, without knowing the challenges ahead or the terrible past of the royal court. Collecting the great souls and Vendrick's ordeals. Bearer of the curse, you will face various ordeals throughout your quest. Under the Lost Bastille is Sinner's Rise, where the lost sinner, the first owner of the great souls. What is the great sin she committed? She tried to relight the first flame, which caused her to shut herself off from the world, to the point she forgot everything, including her name. The next holder of a great soul is the old Iron King who lives within the magmatic depths of his old kingdom called the Iron Keep. When he placed his corrupt foot onto the fortified building, the smelter demon sank the castle into lava. The king transformed into a demon filled with rage as the rest of the world forgot about him and his fortress. When you arrive, bearer of the curse, you will notice that Queen Mytha, who harbors a deadly love for her fallen king, has begun to spread a terrible poison that would transform the landscape. In the depths of Majula's pit lies a creature composed of a pile of corpses known as the Rotten, who has the 3rd great soul. The sinister Black Gulch is disquieting, with its poisoned statues playing an essential role. Brightstone-coved Seldora is where Freya lies, a giant spider with the last great soul necessary to open the doors to Drangleic Castle. With all 4 great souls collected, the Shrine of Winter Doors opens, and the dark collection of towers and studded doors is reached after a short journey. We meet Nashandra in her human form, and she tells the bearer of the curse to quickly find King Vendrick, the coward who abandoned his kingdom. There is a series of obstacles to prevent the Queen from getting to Vendrick and the kiln, but the bearer of the curse has no problem toppling these obstacles. Queen Nashandra wouldn't have been able to pass the Looking Glass Night, or have been able to cross the Shrine of Amana, home of Milfanito, a female-looking beings who use their voice to control the hideous creatures of the dark. Finally, the Undead Crypt, where the Blades of Velstadt and his valiant knights are the last line of defense before we reach Vendrick. The hero arrived, and he couldn't imagine what he saw. He discovered a hollow, dragging his sword in a non-threatening way, walking around aimlessly in an empty room. In the back, there is a pile of clothes and a shiny object, the king's ring, which is needed to access the Throne of Want, and is also guarded by 2 enemies. The extent to which the king went to make sure no one could access the throne before he went into hiding. That is not all the king's ring can open. Another passage has been locked away to hide the shame of the royal family. Past and future. Aldia's Keep, a castle ruin with ample grounds. Upon exploring the keep, it was discovered that a passageway to an area called Dragon Eyrie, where I was waiting for the bearer of the curse. I revealed to him that I wanted to be free from my curse, something that over time had only grown on me. I was convinced that he was the chosen one, the one who was going to link the fire, putting an end to the need for a successor. I gave him my most precious possession, the aged feather. At the top of the dragon shrine, the ancient dragon, who turns out to be friendly, a previously extinct species, has been revived from the depths of time. He entrusts us with the Ashen Mist Heart, an ancient object that is used to look into memories. A few trips down memory lane in Jay's mind, we meet the giant lord, who is the largest and strongest of them all. After an epic fight, the lord is slain, and the conflict comes to an end. The hero was none other than the bearer of the curse who obtained the giant's kinship. Desire. Back at the Throne of Want, Nashandra tries to sneak up on the hero, but she is not the beautiful woman we once knew. She is a spine-chilling incarnation of death, a skeleton composed of countless bones, ready to see her plan go into full fruition. Little did she know, the fight wouldn't go her way. As with Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, the final fight is a hero who has evolved so much since the beginning of the journey that they can destroy anyone in their path. Once the queen is slain, the hero is left with a choice: link the fire or embrace the dark, but not in the same way as it was in Dark Souls 1. This game chooses to convey its message in a more abstract, almost metaphysical way. Who chooses to take his seat on the throne, a group of giants who were asleep are awakened to greet the one who holds the giant's kinship. They come together to form a bridge that leads to the throne, as our hero advances towards this place where all of the kingdoms meet. A stone throne that perfectly fits the chosen one as it adapts to the new king, new size, new material, and perhaps new thoughts and desires. The royal seat becomes a servant to its new master, and our hero assumes his new role, as I remind him. What lies ahead, only you can see. Ashen One, hearest thou my voice still? Those words still bring sorrow to me. I had hoped, no, I believed, that I might guide the Ashen One to his purpose, that he would link the first flame, as so many before him had, and continue the age of fire. I saw in him strength, but also hesitation. A soul burdened not only by the weight of his duty, but by the truths he uncovered. Still, I prayed that he would endure, that his flame would not falter. But he did not choose the path I wished for him. Ultimately, he went mad, not in flesh, but in will, twisted by the endless cycle, broken by the lies of lords long gone. His light faded, and with it, the fire we both served. Had he linked the flame, perhaps the world would have been given one last reprieve. Perhaps the fire would have blazed anew, and my role would have ended, as it was meant to. But such was not our fate. The fire wanes, the bells fall silent, and I remain keeper of a fire that no longer answers. The story of Dark Souls 3, the Unkindled. The Ashen One awakens from his coffin in the cemetery of ash. The Unkindled await summoning by the fire to re-establish order in the world. The Unkindled were once humans or hollows, who sacrificed themselves to the fire through the rite of kindling, a ritual to feed the fire between two lords of cinder. These nobodies were merely fuel to feed the fire. Their mission is to bring back the true heroes of the fire, the ancient lords of cinder who have all fallen or been corrupted. Once settled into the role of being an Unkindled, the Ashen One must complete his first challenge when leaving the cemetery of ash. The Judge of Fire, Udex Gundyr, tests the strength and perseverance of the Unkindled. Once defeated, the Ashen One can reach the Firelink shrine, where the belfry of the bell that once tolled reaches up skyward. Exploring the Firelink shrine. The new Firelink shrine's calming atmosphere is similar to the isolated nexus from Demon Souls, rather than the open-air haven from Dark Souls 1. The Ashen One can warp from the shrine to any area in the kingdom or its surrounding area, provided he has kindled the bonfire. It is even stated that I, the Firekeeper, resemble the Maiden in Black, even down to her dialogue. There are 5 thrones located within the shrine, but only one Lord of Cinder sits on his throne, which is Ludleth of Corland. The others remain empty, waiting for the Ashen One to bring them back. Blacksmith Andre of Astora returns from Dark Souls 1 to help forge and infuse weapons. The shrine handmaid acts as the merchant, although you need to bring her ashes to add new items to the shop. Hawkwood, an ever-present crestfallen warrior, gives us information about Lothric and the former Lords of Cinder. Finally, I allow the Ashen One to turn souls into levels. Throughout the journey, the Ashen One will meet new characters who will come to the Firelink Shrine to provide additional help, making the Firelink Shrine an essential and peaceful location in an increasingly hostile world. The Unkindled Quest. With the coiled sword in hand after fighting Udex Gundyr, the Ashen One is finally ready to fulfill his role and warps to the high wall of Lothric, where the real adventure begins. The first Lord of Cinder we meet is that of Wolf's Blood, an entity collectively formed by the Abyss Watchers. Hawkwood explains,
Gaining admission to the Legion is a matter of some ceremony. Inside their keep, snuffing out the flames of 3 altars opens the door to the Wolf Blood.
The 3 altars are a nod to the first game, and the engravings represent Nito, the Witch of Izalith in the Bed of Chaos form, and the 4 kings of the city of New Lundo who become Dark Wraiths. Just like in Dark Souls 1, where you need to obtain the 4 Lord Souls to fight Gwyn, the game's final boss. The Ashen One must take down a total of 4 Lords of Cinder, not counting the game's final boss. A bit further on, beyond the Crucifixion Woods, Aldrich was supposed to be found in the Cathedral of the Deep, but instead, we only encounter Archdeacon Royce, who was accompanied by many other deacons who were also in possession of a scheming doll. Aldrich allied with Pontiff Sullivan before going to Irithyll of the Boreal Valley. In the legendary old city of Irithyll, Situated in the Boreal Valley, Pontiff Sulivan gave the doll to valued subjects so that they might use it to cross the barrier when they return home. The doll whispers, "Wherever you go, the moon still sets in Irithyll. Wherever you may be, Irithyll is your home." Upon arriving at this city bathed in moonlight and northern lights, the Ashen One encounters Pontiff Sulivan, the mastermind behind much of the destruction in these lands, before reaching another city obscured by fog, Anor Londo. The city of the gods, once bathed in life and sunlight, is now in ruins. Aldrich, who wears Gwyndolin's crown of the dark sun, after having devoured the god. Following a remarkable fight, the Ashen One obtains the cinders of a second lord, descending to the profaned capital to hunt down Yorm the giant. Sigurd of Katarina, an old friend of the giant, joins the fight as he had promised he would kill if he came back to life. Together, they take down the giant, and the Ashen One obtains his third Lord of Cinder. Called to rejoin High Priestess Emma back at the High Wall of Lothric, she informs us.
Unkindled One. The fire fades and awaits its one last Lord. Prince Lothric is in your hands. Please save his soul. Prince Lothric is in your hands. Please save his soul. Tell him what he must be, a law.
Her final words, begging the Ashen One to convince Prince Lothric to become Lord of Cinder before she perishes away, leaving us with the Basin of Vows. After placing the basin at a statue of a beheaded knight, the final protective measure put in place by Sulivan, a knight called the Dancer of the Boreal Valley, appears from thin air and begins to attack the Ashen One. Once the battle was over, the Ashen One could finally enter Lothric Castle. The area is bathed in a strange atmosphere. The eclipse is in the same shape as the dark sign on humans, a black disc encircled with a border of orangey flames, an eloquent symbol for the final stage of the adventure. Prince Lothric refuses to link the fire, so the dark sign appears in the sky as a symbol of humanity. These mysterious beings from Londor, the land of hollows called butterflies, have converged at the castle. Everything announces the decline of fire and the rise of the dark.
Oh dear. Another dogged contender. Welcome, Unkindled One, purloiner of cinders. Mind you, the mantle of Lord interests me none. The fire-linking curse, the legacy of lords, let it all fade into nothing. You've done quite enough. Now have your rest.
The battle begins with the elder Prince Lorien, the skilled and powerful protector of his younger brother. When Lorien falls, Prince Lothric joins the fight, using his magic to revive him. From then on, Lorien carries Lothric on his back as the battle continues. Frail and hunched, Lothric appears far weaker than his brother, leaving us to wonder why the hopes of Guinevere and the kingdom rest on him instead of Lorien. In the end, the twin princes fall, and the Ashen One returns all the Lords of Cinder to their thrones. With all 5 Lords of Cinder back on the thrones, it is time for me to complete the ritual to make the Unkindled a Lord of Cinder.
The 5 lords sit their 5 thrones, all thanks to thee, most worthy of lords. Ashen One, with the lords as thy witness, bend thy knee afore the bonfire's coiled sword, and let the lords' embers acknowledge thee as their true heir, a true lord, fit to link the fire. Noble lords of Cinder, the fire fades. And the lords go without thrones. Surrender your fires to the true heir. Let him grant death to the old gods of Lordran, deliverers of the first flame.
I then transport the Ashen One to the kiln of the first flame, the very place where Lord Gwyn once linked the fire and became the first Lord of Cinder. Now, the surrounding buildings have drawn unnaturally close, forming a sphere around the flame's final convergence point. These are the dying moments of the Age of Fire, all beneath an eclipse that mirrors the dark sign, the mark of the Unkindled. Only one final challenge remains: the Soul of Cinder, a manifestation of all the lords who linked the fire before. This formidable foe wields the combat styles of every one of its predecessors, including Gwyn himself. The Soul of Cinder falls, and the Unkindled calmly takes a seat beside the fading flame in quiet meditation. By linking the fire, the Unkindled becomes the newest Lord of Cinder, prolonging the Age of Fire until its inevitable decline. That would have been the end of our story, and the path I had hoped the Ashen One would take. But sadly, that isn't how his tale unfolded at all. The eyes of the Firekeeper. The Ashen One instead decided to go off the main path and head towards the consumed King's Garden. This area is where King Okairos' den is, who was obsessed with Seath the Scaleless and caused him to go mad. Everything behind his area reflects his fascination with the dragons. Here you can find a Drake Blood Knight, worshippers of the blood of dragons, as well as the Path of the Dragon Gesture, which is needed to gain access to Archdragon Peak, an isolated area where some formidable wyverns live. A secret passage can be found in the private room leading to the untended graves, which looks oddly similar to the Cemetery of Ash, except the abyss covers this area, a corruption of dark. The Ashen One comes face to face with Gundyr again. A deep mystery surrounds the unattended graves. Is this a true copy of the Firelink shrine? Is it from the past or the future? There are some clues to suggest this area is from the past, before the fire sent out its cry for help because the belfry would not toll. The Queen of Lothric, Gwyn, took care of these souls who were once sacrificed to the fire, now resting, waiting for the next call for help. Gwyn's heir respected them and prepared for the future. The Ashen One finds the hidden blessing and the Ashen Estus ring, which the Queen of Lothric enshrined in the untended graves, so that one day an Unkindled might profit from its use.
To skirt the curse's grasp, tarry not for long. 'Tis dark for now, and not a soul stirs, but remember, fires are known to fade in quiet. Or perhaps thou'rt captive already, like the poor girl. Best not tarry long.
The words of the shrine handmaid suggest a lingering sense of waiting. Gundyr likely once bore the role of an Unkindled, no longer Udex, the judge, but now Champion Gundyr, a title also used to describe you, the Ashen One. Tragically, Gundyr arrived too late to the festivities. He found a shrine without fire and a bell that would not toll. In the matter of preserving the flame, such lateness is unforgivable, as the fire is always fading. Without the chance to aid his Firekeeper, the abyss consumed all. There are some more clues to show how the abyss took over. The setting is black as night, recalling the area where the 4 kings of New Lundo were. The shrine handmaid sells the wolf armor, who is none other than Artorius the Abyss Walker, and you can even find the hornet ring which belongs to Kieran, who also fought the abyss in Ulakyle. There is one item that supports all references to the abyss and the dark, the eyes of the Firekeeper. See Ashen One. As a Firekeeper, we are blind. We are not meant to see a world without fire. So when the first Firekeeper saw something she shouldn't have, it caused her to rip them out, and every Firekeeper after, including me, to follow in her steps. When I was first given the eyes, I was terrified by this vision of vast darkness.
Ashen One, are these eyes? How gracious of thee, Ashen One. The very things we Firekeepers have been missing. Ashen One, my thanks for the eyes thou'st given. But Firekeepers are not meant to have eyes. It is forbidden. These will reveal through a sliver of light frightful images of betrayal. A world without fire. Ashen One, is this truly thy wish? Of course. I serve thee and will do as thou bidst. This will be our private affair. No one else may know of this. Stay thy path. Find lords to link the fire, and I will blindly tend to the flame until the day of thy grand betrayal.
I felt as though I had lost my bearings, the corruption stirring from within. Yet in the far distance, I sensed the presence of tiny flames, precious embers left behind by the lords of old, the linkers of the fire. Could it be that those fading sparks were what drew me into this strangely alluring darkness? This was another path the Ashen One could have taken. The original quest to link the fire had been compromised, and the Age of Dark could have begun. Instead of rekindling the flame after defeating the soul of Cinder, the Ashen One might have summoned me to begin the ritual to end the fire. Kneeling, I gather a small flame in my hand and watch as darkness slowly consumes the world. Yet I have heard of other Ashen Ones striking down their Firekeeper, casting the last embers of the flame toward the eclipsed dark sign. That would be the worst outcome, for it would not usher in a gentle dark, but instead allow the abyss to rise unchecked and devour the world entirely. Marriage and Dark Sigils. The path the Unkindled chose to go down is known as the usurpation of fire. In the undead settlement, Yol of Londor, a pilgrim who was a sorcerer who escaped death.
Please, grant me death. Undo my shackles. Oh, then it's true. A champion of Ash as I live and breathe. To be in your presence is a great honor. I am Yol of Londor, a pilgrim, as you can see, only somehow I failed to die as was ordained. Well, perhaps my calling lies elsewhere. Say, champion of Ash, how does the idea of taking me into your service strike you? I was once a sorcerer. Surely I can be of use. Oh, I am honored, truly. I should be dead, yet you have granted me purpose anew. I, Yol of Londor, do solemnly swear myself to you. Oh, our champion of Ash, welcome home. This pilgrim, with a debt in death, hardly deserves to behold this divine flame. And I never would have, had you not taken me into your service. I thank you dearly for this, and assure you of my leal service. As I have said, I was once a sorcerer. Alas, the magic of Londor is a far cry from the wonders of Vinheim. But I can teach you what I know. Perhaps, more importantly, I believe that I can help tease out your true strength. We pilgrims of Londor are keenly aware that those branded by the dark sign possess something quite special.
This newfound strength comes in the form of additional free level-ups, a sacred gift, but one not without consequence. It is a deal with the devil, marked by the emergence of dark sigils. Up to 5 sigils may appear, each unlocking a soul level. The Ashen One begins to bear these strange marks, black gaping holes in the flesh, resembling the undead brand. From these bottomless voids, the darkness of humanity seeps, a curse accumulating in the emptiness. Without the dark sigil, an Unkindled cannot become hollow. The Ashen One continues down this path and encounters another Unkindled, Henri of Astora, accompanied by her quiet and loyal companion, Horace the Hushed.
Oh, hello. How do you do? I am Henri of Astora, unkindled like you. This is Horace, a friend and travelling companion. Are you too in search of the Lords of Cinder? We are well along the road of sacrifices. Below us is the Crucifixion Woods. Beyond the flooded woods lies Firekeeper, home of the undead legion. Further yet is the Cathedral of the Deep. We seek the cathedral, home of the grim Aldrich. We may go our separate ways now, but we are both seekers of lords. The next time we cross paths, one may find the other in a time of need. May the flames guide your way. Oh yes, Horace. He's not very talkative. But don't think ill of him. He's an upstanding, kind-hearted knight, a fine partner for this grueling journey. Without his help, I would have cursed this onerous duty long ago.
Henri greets you with a warm and cordial tone, a rare friendly presence in a bleak world. The pair has paused to rest along the road of sacrifices, just before reaching the Crucifixion Woods. Their goal is the Cathedral of the Deep, where they hope to find the Lord of Cinder, Aldrich, whom both Henri and Horace narrowly escaped from as children. After the Deacons of the Deep are defeated, Henri and Horace make their way to Firelink Shrine, where they discover the small doll required to enter Irithyll of the Boreal Valley.
Oh, and we meet again. We spoke before on the Road of Sacrifices. Henri of Astora. I'm well pleased to see you safe. We reached the Cathedral of the Deep, but Aldrich's coffin was empty. The man-eater must have left for his true home. The little doll in the empty coffin told me. Aldrich is said to hail from Irithyll in the Boreal Valley, an ancient fabled city. A pilgrim told me that the city lies beyond Firekeeper, and so becomes our destination.
Henri confirms to the Ashen One that she and Horace have also met Yoel, the pilgrim, and because of this meeting, the fate of them both has been sealed. Yoel eventually perishes after granting the 5th Dark Sigil, but someone else has appeared at the shrine near where he had died.
Oh, prithee, art thou good Yoel's master? I am Uria of Londor, a close friend of his. Thanks to thee, Yoel's soul is redeemed. Allow me to express my gratitude in his stead. Another matter. Thou a lord, art thou not? Bearer of the Dark Sigil, and our Lord of Hollows. For the time thou remainst our Lord, we of Londor shall serve thee. And I, of course, am also thine. Link the Fire, our Lord of Hollows.
As Unkindled are considered nobodies, being called a lord must have felt like a rare and unexpected compliment to the Ashen One. When Uria bestowed the untrue Dark Ring, a relic that allows one to maintain their human appearance while hollow, it marked a turning point. The Ashen One now had a direct connection to both the Hollows and the Dark. It became difficult for me to even look at him. After the Abyss Watchers were defeated, Henri was found once more, this time deep within the catacombs of Carthus, and notably without Horace. The unfortunate knight met his end while attempting to cross the hanging bridge to Irithyll, later reappearing as a hollow lost to madness in the shallow waters of the smouldering lake. Consumed by the curse, Horace attacks the Ashen One without hesitation. The battle is swift and tragic, and in the end, the Ashen One is forced to put Horace down once and for all.
Our lord and liege, knowest thou of a maid named Anri? She is hollow, and will join thee in wedlock. A fellow of mine guides her at this moment. When the time is ripe, thou mayst make thy salutations. For what lord taketh no spouse? Till we meet again, may the Dark Sigil guide thee.
The Ashen One soon learns that Henri and Horace have officially aligned themselves with the Church of Londor. Unaware of Horace's death, Henri continues to wander the catacombs of Carthus, lost in thought and purpose. One can't help but wonder, was she ever told of the marriage that Londor had seemingly arranged between her and the Ashen One? Later, at the Church of Yorshka in Irithyll, Henri shares news of her latest deeds.
Oh, I thought it might be you. Good to see you. I never managed to find Horace. But my duty must be done, even alone, as an unkindled Lord Seeker. For the children I knew, bless their souls. We all have our reasons, don't we? Please, take this. Recompense for my foolish request. And also a token of protection. May the flames guide your way. Ah, you are brave indeed, to face your duty alone. I would do well to learn from you. May the flames guide your way.
With determination, Henri helps her new ally and future husband fight Pontiff Sulivan. After the battle, the Ashen One makes his way to the immense city of Anor Londo. With a quick stop to the Firelink shrine, Yuria informs the Ashen One.
Speak thy desire, honourable Lord of Hollows. Ah, greetings, our lord and liege. Good tidings. Thy spouse is ready. The time is ripe to greet her. The girl awaits thee in the hidden dark moon chamber of Anor Londo. So thou mayst a true monarch become. Till we meet again, may the dark sigil guide thee.
The place Yuria speaks of is none other than the mausoleum where Gwyndolin was once fought in the first Dark Souls, a long, solemn corridor ending in a giant coffin said to be the resting place of Gwyn, the First Lord. This sacred site, once a symbol of the Age of Fire, is now repurposed for a far darker ritual, the marriage that marks the rise of the Lord of Hollows. But the ceremony does not unfold as the Ashen One might have expected. Upon entering the chamber, he is greeted by a pilgrim who offers him the Sword of Avowal. At the end of the corridor lies Henri, motionless on the floor, her hands folded over her stomach, a shroud covering her face. According to the rites of Londor, the Ashen One performs the avowal, thrusting the sword into Henri to claim her dark sigils and complete the ritual.
Our Lord, I presume thy holy vows are sworn? Wonderful. Now thou art the true and deserving Lord of Hollows. With the spouse, the strength to claim the fire is thine. Thy lordship, I prithee wrest the fire from its mantle. I, Yuria, and all Londor embrace thy impending lordship. Our lord and liege, I prithee, play the usurper. When the moment cometh to link the fire, wrest it from its mantle. The Age of Fire was founded by the old gods, sustained by the linking of the fire. But the gods are no more, and the all-powerful fire deserveth a new heir. Our Lord of Hollows, it shall be, who weareth the true face of mankind. Be safe, our lord and liege. I prithee wrest the flame from its mantle.
Yuria speaks with the voice of Darkstalker Karthi, her teachings rooted in the shadowed truths upon which the Sable Church of Londor was founded. Now, the Ashen One stands ready, chosen to become the new sovereign of mankind, to lead them through the age that follows the dying of the flame. The time has come to face the soul of Cinder, deep within the kiln of the first flame. And when it falls, when the last guardian of the old order is vanquished, the Ashen One approaches the dying flame, not to link it but to claim it, to take its power and bring about a new age, free from the cycle of fire and dark. It is then that sorrow fills me. This is our destiny. One without flame, where light no longer rules nor comforts. A path chosen not by the gods, but by man.
Gracious Lord, make London whole.